So I have this friend V who I've been friends with for a long time. She's one of those people who has to be right about everything, and when she isn't, she would get angry. Eventually through the years, she became manipulative, always wanting people on her side even when there were no sides to choose from. And when she didn't get her way, she would turn the manipulative shit up to boiling. We went to a local con this year at a college in our area. Our group decided to spend the night there because the college allowed it, as long as you were in the designated areas that were part of the convention. Not a big deal, but it was 5 a.m. and everyone was getting tired. So we wandered around until we found some lounge area to relax in for a couple hours to regain some energy. This happened to be in a building no part of the convention area. But no one was there, and the day happened to be Sunday. There really weren't any classes on Sundays for the most part, and we weren't going to be longer than maybe 2 hours. But V freaked out on us. She basically threw a temper tantrum and walked off on her own while we relaxed. If someone saw us there, we would simply tell us to move along, and we would. We honestly wouldn't have gotten in trouble, but V thinks otherwise. As she walks off, she says her phone is dead and dying, a very common lie of hers. But to none of our surprise, she started texting her boyfriend, who was in the group. I'll call him BF. BF was reading the text to us because he thought we had a right to, since what she was saying about us. And boy was it loony. She was threatening to walk home, saying she would freeze to death just to emotionally manipulate BF into going after her or feel guilty. He kept saying he would take her home if she honestly didn't want to be there, but she refused. After about 10 minutes of this, we left the area. Mainly because we wanted to check on our cars because we realized we might not be in the parking areas for the overnight stuff. We wanted to make sure we didn't get towed or any tickets. Apparently V had come back to the spot and sent BF a text saying, "Wow, 8+ friends I have leaving without me." We all ended up splitting up to try to find her because she was walking around campus, and the campus was so big it has its own zip code. Eventually B finds her, and he takes her home. I decided to go home by myself so I can shower and get a proper rest. But V texts me saying how she has shitty friends, and now she's trying to get me on her side, which I used to fall for over the years, but I've started to get a bit over it and insensitized over what she's been doing in the past year. Anyway, fast forward for a couple months and eventually everything is peachy keen. We're all ready for a big convention in another state with the same group plus 14 more people. 2 days before the con, I'm hanging out with our mutual friend A. Earlier that day we were hanging out, but V had some family stuff to do. We all agreed to meet up with V when she got home. A was feeling a little fatigued, so when V called us, we said we'd head over in about 10 to 15 minutes. To let A recoup as they have health problems. Well, V isn't going to let this fly. V hates it when her friends hang out without her because it makes her feel like she has no control over them. Something she had confided in me in a week before. So she comes up with this bullshit about needing me an enhanced license or pass something in case we go through Canada to the convention. And it's only days away.
I have no money thing at the time, and I start freaking out because of it. I had already sunken over $100 into this convention. So while I get mad at V, she starts turning this into a big piss fest. She sends me text after text about how she's now dropping us from the convention, and then she tells me not to message her for the rest of the night. So I don't. She then continues to message me over and over again, trying to guilt me the entire time with some talk about how everyone's always using her for conventions and all this bullshit. Finally, she sent a text about how shit I have at her house and how I need to come over and get it. I told her to leave it outside so I could get it myself without any more conflict. She said she couldn't because her mom would see her cuts and burns on her arms. I had had enough. This is not the first time she had made fake threats of suicide and self-harm to guilt people. Not by far. So I just told her that she is literally the definition of narcissism. Apparently that flipped a switch so hard in her that it broke the whole damn machine. A and I decided to go and just leave my house into a different friend's house just to chill for a bit and rant until I could take A back home. On my way out the bedroom, A is in the bathroom before we leave. And guess who walks in my dining room from the living room? V. She has the shit I had left at her house, which is a shirt, a sweater, both of which of things she borrowed from me when it was really cold out, and she had to walk back from her house to mine.
but she also has this fucked up smile on her face and is screaming at me. She throws my shit down, bounds up to me, and holds her arm out about 2 feet away from my face. There are a couple superficial cuts on top of her arm, none at the bottom, all of which she could actually die, and these cuts are really just glorified scratches, like they could be healed with a simple bandage. But then the most fucked up thing happens. Am I a narcissist now? Do I love myself now? She screams this, as she brings a steak knife into view and slashes her arm deep enough to see flesh. And she's a very thin person, so it almost went down to the bone. I know for a fact that at least went through the muscle. The knife was thrown to the ground. A walks out the bathroom and I grab the knife and give it to him. I told him to take it and hide it. All he saw was blood and the knife. He went to the room and curled up on my bed in a fetal position and had a panic attack the entire time. He is severely triggered by self-harm. My mother walks in the door from where she was at the night and sees everything, and I'm making V sit down so she doesn't pass out from potential blood loss since she's a really small person. I'm getting moist paper towels to wrap around her arm, and my mother's cleaning out the blood from the carpet as the stain is still there, and V is screaming at me the whole entire time. You only care about me now that I'm sufficiently hurt. And I'm trying to keep a level head while I call her brother and mother to come to my house. I take V to the bathroom, removing all sharp objects and making her run her arm under water in the sink because I'm thinking, she needs to keep her arm clean, what if it gets infected? All I can think to do is apply whatever first aid I could think of in my house. Her mother comes into the door with her brother. Her mother stays in the bathroom with her while I'm calling the cops. I call BF because it's one of the first things I could think of, so he's in my room most of the time while I'm talking with the cops and such. He's trying to comfort A, and at this point I've already started to break down. To wrap this story up, I'll give you the shortened version of the events that took place after this. V had 8 staples in her arm, and the person running the con that was happening that weekend decides to feel bad for V and says, "Come to the con and enjoy yourself and take your mind off things." I didn't think she would be going to the con, but since she was, I dropped out, efficiently losing out over $100. From what I gather from a couple of friends who went on the trip, V pulled the same shit as always. People didn't listen to what she wanted to do, and she threw temper tantrums. She got pissed off at BF because he wanted to do shots with everyone on the first night of the con. V doesn't drink and legitimately thinks it's evil and everyone who does it is going to go to hell. When it reinforces her opinion, she becomes extremely religious and preachy with zero knowledge of the faiths she is preaching. So not long after the con, BF leaves her and I end up befriending the people that V was friends with, and a million truths start flooding out from everyone. All the lies V told, the emotional manipulation she pulled, and I could honestly write a book about this psychopath. But honestly, I and many of the people ultimately came out on top of this shit. Many of us have a lot less stress in our lives because it turns out she was the source of a lot of it. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you want to see more similar content, feel free to click any of the videos that are on screen now, and don't forget to put a like because it really helps my channel a lot. And if you really like my video and my content, don't forget to hit subscribe as well as that little bell icon, because then that will help notify you for whenever I upload any other videos. Anyway, thanks for watching.